Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so it's not my first time coming live. It's my second time, but I've still not gotten a hang of this. So you're going to pardon me on a lot of things. You're going to pardon me on a lot of things. John Sherry, I'm here waiting patiently. Thank you so much. Thanks for waiting. So I do not want to waste anybody's time today. And so we're just going to go right into the tutorial. I didn't even plan showing my face, but I just felt, oh, it won't be nice that I'm just showing you tables and papers and work and all like that. So let's just do a bit of showing of face. Let's do a bit of showing of face before we go into the tutorial. I want it to be very straight to the point, as straight to the point as possible. No wasting of time, just what we came here for. So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. 20 persons. Oh my god, I'm so honored. Thank you so much for joining. So today we are going to be doing a brief, very brief tutorial. It's not a full tutorial because it's not possible that we cover a full tutorial in the space of 1 hour, 2 hours. A full tutorial takes a lot of time, and that is why I'm even doing this live, because I've gotten a lot of inquiries about how the launch compartment was created into the handbag, how to go about it and all like that. So sorry, please, if you can hear me, just if you can hear me, please type in the comment. I think I can read comments from here. Hi Zainab, I okay. If you can hear me, please type I think that I would do, so that I'm sure that I'm not speaking to myself. So I'm waiting for, okay, thank you so much. I'm glad you can hear me. So I got a lot of requests about the launch compartments in the handbag, and I think what moved me to making this live session was the fact that the conversation was going on in the handbag construction class, and I'm like, oh, if my students cannot do this, then that is on me, right? If any other person is requesting tutorial, I just tell them we don't have a tutorial on this, sorry, you can go to the next store. But people that I am committed to helping, that, oh, you will learn how to make handbags and you would be able to make any kind of handbag. So while they were discussing it, that, oh, how was this made, and I saw the conversation going on, I said, no, I have to come in this. But creating a tutorial is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of time. Sometimes I use like a week, 2 weeks and all like that to make just a single tutorial. So that's if it is not a paper prototype. So I said, let's do a live session, let's pick it from where we stopped and then do a thing on that. And lining manipulation is one of the course contents in the handbag construction class. So I'm still using this as an opportunity to actually go into that, to treat the lining methods that you can use for this type of bag. And that is why we're actually doing this live session. So thank you so much. There are 28 persons on the call. I'm seeing Simon Mary. Hi, Delight, Pamela Rain, Temitope, Taiwo, Miracle, Sunday. Thank you so much for joining. Abiodun T, Odunsayaros, Odunayo, Rosaline, Vicky Festus, Avalara Samson, Zainab, Rosemary, BNB Bags, Eunice, Akinwale Karimot, Tony. Thank you so much for joining. So let's get right into it. So we are going to start first with paper prototypes. I've tried to, like, let's just go into the lining direct, but I'm like, I don't know kind of the skill level of the people that are going to be on this call today. So I said, let me start from the basics. Let's start from the paper prototype. And when I mean basics in this case, I'm not even saying basic in the sense that you'd have had, or you already know how to make structured bags, you already know how to make a few things. Just the basic I'm starting from now is just the lining aspect of it. And for, if you're in handbag construction class cohort 3 of 2025, okay, you're still going to have to rewatch this live video, because most of the things I'm going to be treating here, that's about the totes gusset, is what you're going to be starting next week, which is Monday. That's like the last lesson for the class. So you may not have gotten to that yet, but if after the class, if you come back and you rewatch this video, you're going to understand it perfectly. But doesn't mean that you will still not be able to gain something from this session. So without wasting time, like I said, I don't want to waste anybody's time, so let us get right into what we are here for. I'm going to position this. Okay, so I want to be sure that you're seeing everything that is going on the table. Orientation. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to do something about the rotation. Please hold on for me. I'll stay here with you. Sorry, I think I want to join with another device so I can see what you're saying and be sure. I'm still here. I'm still here with you. Okay. So you're seeing this in portrait mode. I'm sorry, I'm still here with you. I'm just trying to get this in order. So please, you will have to have patience for me because this is not something I do often. I'm still here. Okay, sorry, please. I think you may have to rotate your... Okay, you may have to rotate your phone, please, on my behalf so that you can see clearly. I'm not getting what is going on with this. Right. So for this bag, we are using let me say we, because I think it's my bag to make. So I'm using the handbag gusset type 2 for the bag, and so this is the gusset, and I made some sort of design at the top here. Okay. So this is just a design, doesn't matter, but this is the gusset for the bag, and this is the front of the bag. So I believe that if you know how to make a structured bag, how I cut out this and wrapped it is not going to be a problem. So I'm just going to explain what I've done before we go into the paper prototype. Then there was a cutout from here, and that cutout is this. So I basically have a cutout here. Exactly what I cut out here, I went ahead and I wrapped that. I wrapped it up. So that cutout that we have here, this is it. So that's the one that is going to serve as the lunch compartment, whereby you can open it up and you can keep whatever it is you want to keep into the bag. You can keep it there. So I believe that this is not the problem that most people are facing, especially people that have reached out to me about the lunch compartment in the handbag. I believe that being able to cut this pattern, that's not the problem, and that's why I've gone ahead to do all of this before this live session. I'm able to read comments, so if you have any issues or you're not hearing me or anything, you can type it in the comments. So I have a device that I used to read comments here. So basically that is what I have done. So this is the front of the bag. This is the part that you're going to open up. Now the issue now is how to do the lining. I believe that that's the main issue. The issue is going to be how to put the lining such that when you open this up, it is not leading to lining that is coming out from here. So let's say that you have a lining fixed for this, How is it that we're going to open this bag on the main compartment and we're not going to be seeing that lining here? How do we go about that? And for most of the classes that I have taught, for most of the tutorials we have, even our YouTube tutorials, and most of the classes you will mostly find anywhere. I'm not saying that's all, but I'm saying mostly. You will see that the lining is always gummed to the main panels of the bag. The lining is not detachable. The lining is usually gummed to the main panels of the bag. But for this, and that's what I want to highlight, is it a light or enlighten on today, is that there are other ways by which you can do your lining that you don't have to gum the lining to the main panels, and that's what we're going to be doing here today. We're not going to be doing the lining, we're not going to be gumming the lining to it. We're just going to, make the lining separately and fix it into the bag, and that's the most reasonable way to go about this, so that it doesn't lead into, because there's no way you want to gum the lining into this that there will not be problem. So that's the approach we are taking today. So somebody is saying that I don't know the measurement to cut the bag. I don't know the measurement to cut the bag. I don't think that measurement is something that I want to. Dimension is something that I want to do. But for this type of bag, it's you can make it a small bag. Depends on what you want them to be able to fit into this, right? If you want them to be able to fit, I think I've seen a bag where they fit a bottle of wine into it. So you know that you want to make the opening to be about as wide as long as the bottle of wine. So it just depends on. I saw some videos whereby it is even shoes, not even food, that they are stocking into this compartment. So it just depends on what you want. Make your bag as big as you want it, then do the cutout. Like for my own cutout here now, I think I basically took 2 inches from here, 2 inches from here, and then I slanted it. I made it to follow the slant of the bag, and that was how I took my own dimension. So dimension is not something that's too basic for the purpose of this. Now for this, so let's go to the papers. I'm hoping that by 11:30 the hat are here. So this is the pattern. So I have this design. I just didn't want the top to be basic. I'm taking ideas from my students. So so this is the pattern that I used to cut this out, and the parts where the cutouts, I've already marked it here so that we are able to work alongside this. And for the gusset, the width of the bag, that's the base of the bag, is 6.5 inches. Now for the 6.5 inches, it also means that the base of my gusset is 6.5 inches as well. If you understand, you already know that. Don't let me say that. If you understand, you already know that. So the width of this is 6.5 inches, right? The main reason why it is not following this shape is because this leg, you understand, that is not a part of the measurement you're taking for the gusset. Where you're joining the gusset basically goes back to something like this, and the height is 10.5 inches, which is the same height of this. So please, you may have to rotate your phone, right? It's a fault from my end. There's a way that I should be able to rotate I don't know how to do that yet, but I don't want that to delay this class. So the height of the gusset is 10.5 inches, and the width of our base is 6.5, and that is what I have here. And the design that is on the top of my bag, I just marked it out here. So these are the basic. So this is what I need to do this. Now for the lining, right, that was why I needed this. For the lining, we're not gumming the lining directly to the body of the bag. We are doing the lining separately. That means the same way we cut out this, we're also going to do the same for the lining. We're going to cut out this pattern as well on the lining. Join the lining separately as a bag on its own. So the lining is going to form this a bag. The main panels, that's the main body of the bag, is also going to form a bag. Then we'll insert the both of them into each other. So that way, we have been able to do the main compartment of this, such that whatever is going on from this end, from this launch end, is not being seen in the bag. And for most of the bags that I have seen, there's also a laptop compartment in it. So if you're doing the laptop compartment, just the way you would do your laptop bag, just place your laptop, a divider, to demarcate the main body of the bag, the other part of the bag from the laptop compartment. So if you are using this type as the lining, if you're using the pattern like this as the lining, it makes it easy for you to bring out your laptop compartment without, of course you can also do that when you're gumming. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. If you are having a lining like the basic, do I have a bag I can use here? If you're using a basic lining whereby you just gum the lining to the main panel of the bag, you can also put your laptop compartment. But most of the time, the laptop compartment is going to be sitting, is going to be attached to the lining. And any lining that you gum to this, that you gum to the panel of your bag, I mean, you just gum the lining the way you do the bag normally, the way you do structured bags normally, that you just place your lining, you gum it down. If you place a laptop compartment on that, any pressure on that laptop compartment is going to be pulling the lining, and with time the lining is going to pull off from the body of the bag. But in this case now, whereby the lining is going to be made separately as a separate bag from the main compartment of the bag, from the main bag rather, from the main body of the bag, it is very easy to put your laptop compartment. So any pressure on that is just going to be pulling the lining out. It's not going to be pulling it away from the bag. So that one is more durable. There are bags that when you put the lining, you gum the lining on the main panel, you can put the laptop compartment. I'm not saying that you cannot do your bag like that, but I'm saying that with time, due to lots of pressure on that, the lining is going to pull away from the body of the bag, from the from the from the board. But if you do it that you're making your lining separately, it's easy to put a laptop compartment. So let me see if there are any comments that I have to respond to moving forward, so that we're just going to, okay, sorry, please hold on for me, just trying to check if there are comments. Okay, good morning everyone, good morning, you're welcome. Okay, so there are no comments, so I think we can proceed from there. So I'll set this, let me set this aside. Now what have I cut again? So now for this, that's for this part, this cutout here, I had to make an interface for it, just something to face it. So this is like the lining for this, so that when you bring this out, when you open it, let me close this way, so that when you open this, what you will see here is this. This is what you will see here. You can use your lining too. I use leather, just a very soft leather, different from the other one. But you can use your lining, whatever it is you want to use, just to cover up this place. So I used a very soft stiffener, That's a collar stay. It's a fusible. That's what I used for this. And I'm not so concerned about the bottom part of the bag because it's interface. That's why you may see this. It's not style, it's not design. It's just that I cared more about this part than this part of the bag. Right, the bottom part, at least when I opened it this way, you're not seeing what is going on here. So this is not design, please. It's just the fact that I don't care much about this bottom. I just care more about the borders, like the ends of this place, so that I get what I need. So this is the lining for this, and I don't want to be too fast, so that is what I have here. Then for the gusset as well, I have an interface for the gusset. So it is not my lining. I'm using this lining. It's a velvet lining. You can use your clothes lining for this. You can use your clothes lining. You can use leather, whatever lining you want to use. But I'm using this velvet lining, and it is color wine. So I don't want the lining to get to the top of my. I don't want it to be seen at the top of my bag. Had it been I'm using black, it would have been easier because it will rhyme. But this wine is just going to be too flashy at the top, so I have to use an interface so that the lining will be inside the bag, and this is it. Okay, so you can see that the exact shape. So this covers the interior part of the bag, and the lining is going to continue from there. Then for the main one as well, I have this. So this is the interfacing for the main one. Then the lining is going to continue from here. So these are all the things that I have. And so which should we do first? The lining for this. The lining for this. So let's do the lining for the launch compartment first, so that people who already know how to go about the main compartment, they can be on their way out of this cup. So take your tape rule, and we're going to measure. We're going to measure from here, like just measure it round this part. You're measuring it round. So we're taking this. So what I'm basically doing is measuring this round, or I could as well do it here. I could as well do it here, but I want to do it on this because this is the part that I'm attaching the lining to, and this is at the top. So that means the dimension this will give me is most likely going to be higher than the one that one is going to give me. So I'll just take this here. So you follow the curve while doing this. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing properly, so I'm just going to lower this. All right. So take the dimension this way. This is giving me 21. This is 21. I think this is 20.75. But I'll take 21 inches. So 21 inches. Then for the bottom here, which is from here to here, I don't want to be doing mathematics. So 21 inches. From 21 inches to this is 32. So this is my gusset. So this is the paper for my gusset, but please let us just use it as our board for the purpose of this tutorial. So this is 32 inches. Now that means the opening of the lining I want to create, the total circumference of the lining I'm creating for this place has to be 32 inches. So I want to use the tote gusset to create the, so this is like a bag on its own. Let's say that we've opened the bag now, and this is what it gives us. So this part like this is the opening of a bag on its own. So you're going to treat it like, oh, this is the opening of, let's say, a tote bag or a handbag. This is the opening of the handbag, and I have to create a lining for it, or a backpack, and I have to create a lining that will sit right into this. So that's how you're thinking about this. Let's say that this is your tote gusset, you've measured it round, you want to create a lining that will sit into this. So the total that we have here is 32 inches. So now we are going to cut a, sorry, oh, okay, so we're cutting a tote gusset, 32 inches, and so I'll just use this for the rest of the measurements. This is going to be the gusset for me. How do I put it? Basically this is 5.5 inches, 5.5 inches, and this is 11 inches. So this is the total, but then I'm doing 11 inches. Let me be sure. 11 inches by 5.5. 11 inches by 5.5 inches. 11 inches, 5.5 inches. Then the gusset is going to be, how do I measure the gusset? Please hold on. Okay, so this is the opening of the bag. This is the front. This is the back. The front, the back, then the gusset. So this is like my thought process on a good day when I'm making a bag. So you see that I'm trying to make it, so this is the gusset of the bag, this is the front, this is the back. Now I want to make a tote gusset for it. So if I'm making a tote gusset, this is, if this is the gusset of the bag, then I'm using half of this as my, so that's half of 5 points. I wrote 5 inches. Is it 5 inches or 5.5? 5.5 inches. So half of 5.5 inches, that's the gusset of the bag. Please, I hope you understand how I went from a normal bag into making it into a tote bag. I'm taking this as the front of the bag, taking this as the back of the bag, and taking this as the gusset of the bag. So we are having 5.5 divided by 2, that was where I was at. That's 2.75. So 2.75 is what I'm going to be taking here as half of the gusset. Then my 11 inches, which is the length, and 2.75 again, which is the second gusset. So if you've attended the pattern master class, what I'm doing here should not be strange. So even if you've not done the handbag construction class, if you've done the pattern master class, this should not be strange. 2.75. So what we are doing is creating the lining. We're trying to cut the pattern to get the lining for. I don't just want to bring measurements from my head and say, oh, we'll cut 17 inches, we'll cut 5 inches, and that's it. I'm trying to make it basic. That's why I'm using paper. It's not as if it is a paper bag that we are making in this class, but it's just because of the pattern, so that everybody knows how to go about it, even if you're using something different from what, if we are using a dimension that is different from what I'm using in this place. Can I please explain the gusset again? We have different types of collar stay. Is this soft or hard? Anyone, about some person asking about if it is the hard or anyone that does help you, just to help you create a neat, just to help you get this edge, this neat edge. So it doesn't have to be the thick, or as far as you can fold your leather around it, and it will help you get a smooth edge. That's the essence of the collar. If I could do without the collar stay and fold my leather, and it would give me a very neat edge, I would have done that. Then someone said, can I explain the gusset again? When we attach the zipper cloth to the front part of the body, increase, are we going to cut the back and the base after attaching the zip cloth? Hey, God. Please, let me read this question again. When we attach the zipper cloth to the front part of the body, to the front part of the body will increase. Are we going to cut the back and the base after attaching the zipper? The body will increase after cut. Are we going to cut the back and the base after attaching the zipper close? Oh, I'm so sorry. Please, you have carried me far. Let me just go at my pace. You've carried me to the point of zip or no zip. Let me just go at my pace, please. We'll get there. Okay. That's why most time I like videos, video submission, video questions, so that as you're asking the question, I understand where the problem is and I can easily. But reading things like this is just quite hard for a practical skill like bag making. 2.75. So for the base as well, so this is the gusset, this is the gusset, and this part, this is the base of the bag. So 2.75. 2.75. So I'm just trying to make this very basic, all this paper pattern that I'm doing, just so that everybody's on the same page. So this is the what we are trying to cut lining for. This is, I'm just using half. What I'm going to be doing here is half measurement. So half of this part, from this part to this part, I believe you can see what I'm doing. From this part to this part is this part to half of this place. Okay. Then from this part to this part is this part to this part. That's why this is 11 inches. This is also 11 inches. Then this place to this place is this. And this is this place to this place. Then the part that is going to push into the bag, that's what I did as this 2.75. So let's just go like that. Sorry, please, any other question? Please, my bucket was certainly featuring not partaking the pattern drafting masterclass. Pattern drafting masterclass will resume maybe late September. So, and then the tutorials, I think I posted the tutorials, the links to the tutorials on the WhatsApp channel. The links to the tutorials are on the WhatsApp channel, so I may post that again because I think it has expired, so you can go about it. Please, after the live stream, hope this video will be available for people who join late due to network problem. We'll see to that. Please, you need to, hey, with the pattern drafting. I'm just starting the pattern drafting one. We are drafting pattern for the lining that is going to be in this. The lining that is going to be in this part of the bag. That's what we are drafting pattern for. And I said that we're going to take a look at this like the opening of a normal bag, right? So this is going to be the gusset. This is the back or the front, whatever you call it, and this is the front. So now the gusset, we are using the tote gusset to make the lining, the tote gusset construction method to make the lining, and that's the pattern I'm drafting. So for this gusset now, right, this front, this is, let's say this is the front, and this part, let me open it so that I can write on it, and this part is the back of the bag. Like we are looking at it, don't look at it like a lunch compartment or anything. Look at it like this is the opening of a normal bag. This is the front of the bag, the back of the bag, and the gusset 1, gusset 2. Now we are going to be using the tote gusset construction method to make the lining for this bag, that has this opening. Don't look at it like a lunch compartment. Like, let's be on the same page. This is not a lunch compartment. For the sake of this explanation, it will become a lunch compartment later, but for the sake of this explanation, this is a normal opening of a bag, or this is a normal bag. Forget that there's this part. Like this opening alone is the opening of a bag. So this is the front, the back, the gusset 1 and the gusset 2. So we want to do a lining that is going to fit into it, and that's the pattern I'm creating now. For the tote gusset, if you understand the tote gusset very well, the back and the front, we are going to cut it as a single panel. So the front will contribute half to side 1 and half of itself to side 2. The back itself will contribute 1. It could contribute half to side 1. So that means whatever we are cutting for this back has to extend to meet this at this place. Whatever we are cutting for this end as well has to extend to meet this at this place. So this one too, front, is also going to add to itself to meet this at this, to meet this at this, so that it will go round. And that is the pattern that I'm drafting. So instead of drafting it as a full pattern, I'm just drafting half of the pattern here. Now the half that this part, this back, is going to contribute to make gusset 1, this is it here. So the total height of this is 5.5. Half of it is 2.75, and that is what I have here, 2.75. So this same back is also going to contribute to this gusset 2, half of itself. She gets, so the height of this is 5.5. Half of it is going to be 2.75, and that is what I have here. So for the height of the bag, the height is now going to be how deep we want the lining to go into the bag. So like I said, the base of the bag, the base of this bag that I am making in this case is 6.5 inches. That's the base. That's the base width of it. That's the width of the bag. So it's 6.5 inches. But I still want to have a laptop compartment. That means whatever it is that we are putting into this bag, I don't want it to get to the end of the bag, to the back of the bag. So let's say this is our lunch compartment. This is the back of the bag. This is the lunch compartment here. Whatever we are putting inside from here, I don't want it getting to the end of it because of the laptop that is going to be there. So I'm going to just leave like a 1-inch allowance, so that whatever it is you are putting here, no matter how much you push it inside, except that the lining expands, it won't get to where the laptop is getting to. So instead of making the height of the lining to be 6.5 inches, like I said, the height of the lining in this case is how deep the lining is going to go into the bag. How deep that lining is going to go into the bag, that's the height in this case. So instead of 6.5 inches, I'm just going to use 5.5 inches. Any question? Is that okay? The live stream can be rewatched. Okay. Good morning to you too. How is your day going? So we are using 5.5 inches as the height. So from this bottom line, from this baseline, that's where you now take your 5.5 inches. So we're going to cut this out. So this is just the pattern for it. This is not the one I'm using yet. When I want to cut the lining for it, I can then add my seam allowance and every other allowance that I may need. But this is just the basic pattern for it. Okay, so beside this is half of the gusset, which represents from here to here. Or this as well, this represents from here to here, and this is this. Okay, so we've been able to cut the pattern that will go around for this one, that will go around for this. Then this one will serve as the, if you understand the tote gusset, this should not be, but for core 3 students, you start your tote gusset construction method on Monday, so you can rewatch this video. So this is what we have now. Now I'm going to take the measurement of this to this. It has to be, where's the, it has to be half of 32 inches. We said that when we measured this from here like this, what we had was 32 inches from here to here. Then from here to here we had 32 inches. So that means if we are taking half of this alone, half of this point, then it should be half of this whole dimension. So 32 inches divided by 2 is going to give us 2 here 1 2 in 3 then 15 points, 2 in 30 15, 2 into 1, hey god, 15.1. Please help my mathematics. I don't know. Don't let me say I don't know what I'm doing again. Calculator. 32 divided by 2, 16. How is that so hard? So we have 16 inches. So what we will have at this point has to be 16 inches. If it is not 16 inches, then we are wrong. We'll have to fix it. So we'll take our tape rule and then we'll measure. And what we have here is 16.5. This is 16.5 and we need 16 inches. So that means we have to remove 0.25 on each end. So you take your ruler and then you slant. When you're slanting, right, you're slanting towards this. You're slanting towards this baseline, not this point. You're slanting towards this. Then from here as well, you take 0.25. We needed 16 inches. I think I've explained that. So what we have is 16.5. So whatever excess you have on the measurement you need, you just split it into 2 and remove it from the 2 ends. You can ask your question. Please don't take me further than where I am. Based on what I've taught so far, you can ask questions. So we'll cut this away. Based on what I've taught so far, you can ask questions. Then you know that in your tote gusset, you don't need this point. This point is not part of what you need. So we're going to cut this away. Away. All right, so for half of the pattern for the lining, this is what we have. So this comes like this comes like this. So this is going to fill in for half of this opening. Then if we cut it in 2, we'll have for this. So let us do that. Why are you asking me questions? Are you the one I'm teaching? Sorry, excuse me, I'm with my niece. What is your question? Oh, okay. So this is, I said this is the wine lining I'm going to be using. And since this is half pattern, it means I have to fold my lining. So let me just see where I can use. prefer to fold it at the base. Knowing the part of your lining that you want to use is also another struggle on its own. Okay, so I folded it this way. Should I raise the camera on? You can see. Okay, 16, 6. Thank you so much, my mathematicians. Thank you so much. 16. Well, I did check. Instead of using calculator, I could have just used. Thank you so much for the help. Sometimes mathematics can be very, very. God help us. Because I was calculating 32 divided by 2, like way is for that mathematics. Okay. So here. Now, like I said, this was the pattern that we are using. I mean, this is the pattern we are using. If you want to cut on your fabric, you have to leave your allowance. If it is gumming allowance or seam allowance, whichever one. So, but this part, remember that this is half of the base. And this part of the base is where I'm putting on the folded side of my lining. If I don't want to join the lining at the base, I have to put this end at the folded side of the lining. So it's intentional. What I'm doing is intentional. It's just not that I'm just doing it. Okay. So now, if this aligns with this edge, then I have space at the top. I need this space. Then to sew this, to attach this and this to the other side, I will need this sewing allowance as well. Okay, so I have all my allowance in place, and then we cut. If you have more than one scissors, you always have your favorite scissors, and the time you mistakenly pick the one that is not your favorite, you'll be like, no, not you. So I have a favorite scissors on my table. Okay, so most times for precision and accuracy, you want to measure the exact dimension, the exact allowance that you are leaving, so that by the time you're stitching exactly on that line. So if it is 0.5, you know that it is 0.5, you're stitching on exactly on 0.5 line. So if you know that you may not be able to do it straight, you may have to use your marker to mark 0.5, so that when you're stitching on the exact line. It doesn't reduce your measurement or add to your measurement. So if you are seeing me that I'm just doing freehand cutting, I know to an extent, let me say I know what I'm doing, because I may not be so accurate, but to an extent, I know what I'm doing. Okay, so we have the lining here. Let me just do this. Just trying to mark the pattern on the. If you can do without that, of course. If I was not on this call, trust me, I'm not going to do that. But there are different skill levels on this call, so I have to be careful. So I'm going to join this end as well. Since I'm joining this end, I had to leave allowance. Important. Okay. For this as well. So like I said, it was half pattern. The paper was half pattern. But if you open it up, this is what you would have. This may already be seeming familiar to some people, like this pattern. So when you close this end and this end, you have an opening, and the total of this opening is going to be 32 inches, which means that it is going to go around this point. So let's say I'm marking the midpoint of this. If you mark the midpoint of this, and then we take it around this. If we take it around this, it's going to meet at this half point, and then this other one too, when we attach it to this from midpoint to midpoint, so this is also going to meet this at this point. So that creates the compartment for your lunch bag. So I'm going to join this together now. I'm going to join this together so that I'm being practical about what I'm doing. But before I go to do that, I also have this. I think I didn't show you this when I was showing you all the things I've done before. Now this is like an interfacing for these top parts of the bag, and the main reason, this is the normal collar stay like I used for the other one, and the main reason why I have this is just to give me this neat border when I want to fold it. So I want to fold this lining around here, and then it's going to give me that neat border so that I can place it on the other end of this. So there are two ways by which you can fix your zip to this part, and I'm going to explore the two ways. So let me see if there are questions. Please, can we make a video on how it is done? What is the measurement for half of the base? Hey God, what is question? Also, who was to rewatch? What is the name of the wine material? I think I can answer that. It is velvet. So this is a velvet material. In Lagos Moshe markets, you most likely get this where they are selling materials for upholstery, for what is upholstery? Furnitures. So that's where mostly you get this. But this is velvet. I don't want to say it's approach. It's kind of different from the ones tailors use because of the other end. But this one is mostly used by, we mostly get it from where they sell furniture materials. Then okay, somebody is asking a video on how it is done. That video on how it is done, I really don't know. Please, if you can expatiate on it. Measurement of for the half of the base. Measurement for half of the base is also the half of the gusset. The base and the gusset, they share measurements. So leave there, I want to use the machine. So please, I would want to quickly join this together.
Is that all for the question?
For now, yes, that's all the questions we have. Okay, so if you'd like to join this together. This is the pattern for the handle. But the handle is not part of the class.
Wow, I love what
Okay, so we are joining this end. Hey, God, I beg go. I've just checked this. So I'm going to be using the parts that I labeled, the parts that I marked. So I'm going to have to thread this machine. I thought I already did. I was trying to fill the bobbin, so I removed the thread. So pardon me while I quickly do that.
we off the machine.
Yeah, I turned it off. Because people are asking me questions online now, I'm having to answer questions offline from my assistant for the day. Okay, so that was quick. All right. So that you can see this clearly. So I'm joining this end. Here you go, start.
That was
No, don't turn it off. Thank you. has locked.
Oh, yes. Okay, people asking questions.
So the second side as well, I'm going to now for this end. So this is the pattern that we made. So it's now our work now. We made this pattern together. I just want to mark the allowance I have here. So you open this up like this, just the way I'm holding it. Please hope nobody is confused. From this point, just hold this corner, hold it. This second one, hold it with the second hand and then pull it out. So you have something like this. So this and this becomes this way. And so the pattern, the line I created from the pattern, I'm going to be saying it. It's not going to reflect on this side, but I can use my intuition to finish it. So the same thing for this. So here we have an opening for our lunch compartment or your shoes or whatever you want to put inside. So let's go back to where we were. So I have to pull this. Okay. So let me erase this. Do I have any new question?
Yes.
What's the question? Okay, so we are done with this pattern. That can leave the table. So I already explained how I got this, right? It's like an interfacing. So it's basically just placing this on your so that nobody is confused. So I'm just going to show you how I got that. So basically you place this your opening, place it on your stiffener or whatever it is you want to use. You mark it out. Once you mark it out like that, you remove it and then you create a border around it. So just create a border around it, and that is what you are cutting out. And that was how I got this. That was how I got this. And I said I only needed this part to make whatever I'm folding to be neat. So I already left the sewing machine. I could have done this. Now for this part of the bag, for this side, I already said I created an interfacing for this as well. This is interfacing for this, and this one is facing for this. So for this, what you basically do is gum this here. Bring that device, let me see.
Watch this.
Okay. I want to be sure that you're still seeing what I'm doing. So, like I was saying, basically this will be attached to this. This is your zipper. You can use whatever zipper you want. But I'm using the rubber zipper because, and this is in size 6, not size 5. The metal zipper or the iron zip cloth, it has some technicalities, especially the ones that we often get in this part of Nigeria. With time, it quickly gets damaged, and this part of the bag where the zip, where the launch compartment is, if anybody wants to fix that zipper, you have to dismantle, or is dismantle, that's the word. You have to dismantle the whole bag in order to fix just that one zipper. So safe to say, it's not as if this one too doesn't get spoiled, but at least this one still lasts a bit if the person using the bag is not rough. What was I doing? So this one goes here this way till the end. That's where the zipper stays. So this part is going to be rough because of the zipper that is staying on it, so you have to use this to cover it up. So you use this to cover it, to cover this, use it to cover it up this way. So that saves it for this part of the bag. Then for the lunch compartment, for the lining, okay, so this part, so now you may want to mark the middle of this. This is the interfacing, so you may want to mark. I need to be seeing what I'm doing. Just pardon me for that, sorry. So this part, so now I'm going into this lining that we cut now, how it is going to work. So you find the midpoints as well on this end. I'm going to do these lining compartments before we leave this course, so don't worry. Now the right side of this is going to face the right side of this lining, and then the midpoints, they meet here, and you will have this. So like now you see that this part is laying like this. So by the time you open your lunch compartment, this is going to be inside the bag. This part of the line is going to be inside the bag. So by the time you open this end, this part of this, if this has been sewn to this place is going to be very neat. You're not going to see the rough edges or anything. This place is going to be very neat. Okay, and then the base of the bag is going to cover the rest parts of it on the other end. So that serves it for this part. Then for this part of the bag, now there, like I said, there are 2 ways. Before I went to sew, I said there are 2 ways by which you can place the zip on this. So let's go with the zip first. You can place the zip on top like this. That means you're sewing the zip on top of the bag, just like this. The right side faces up, the wrong side is the part that's okay. The right side is facing the right side of the bag. Let me put it that way, it's easier to understand that way. So you can place the zipper, you can place the zip cloth on the bag like this, and the rough edge of the zip is going to be showing. It won't matter much, right? Because the rough edge of this zip is not as if it is bad, it's not pulling out thread. So but if you're somebody that you're very, very, how do I put it, you just want that, oh, everything is perfect, you don't want anything to be seen, then you can use your taping belt. That's something like this. This is a belt, but there's one called taping. It's softer than this, so you can use it to cover it up this way. So use it to cover it up this way, so that the edge of the lining is not being seen. So in that case, you won't even need to fold this edge. If you want to use taping, you may not need to fold this edge. You can just cut the leather with the carry board. You don't need to fold the edges. But if you want to place the lining and leave the if you want to place the zip and leave the zip like that, you have to fold this edge. So that covers for this part of the bag. Then the interfacing that we cut, this part, I'm trying to explain. We'll still do it, but I'm trying to explain so that when I'm doing it, it's not like, oh, why did you do this? Why are you doing this? So this part is going to, we're going to fold this lining like this around this part. So this is going to be the part that is going to hold this lining. Now, if you're placing this, see how I'm doing this, and then you're placing this on this. So this one will go round. So if I turn it this way, you see what you're going to have? Something very neat. You're not seeing the rough edge of, you're not going to see the rough edge of the lining, because the rough edge of the lining has already been tucked into between this and this. So that covers for this lining. I'm still going to do all of those things, but it will take a long process. I'm just trying to explain how that is going to go. So another way that you can also fix your zip on this part, I said there are two ways. One is either you place the zip on it like this. The second one is that in between this and this, in between the two of them, you can place your lining there, your zip. So there are options. Different people do their bags different ways, however it's convenient for you, however you like it, and the result, the outcome that you want. So I think that the person that was asking that when you place your zip, that this part becomes longer or becomes shorter, I think that was the question the person was trying to answer, to ask the other time when they were asking question about when you place zipper or something. So if you place your zipper here, underneath is going to be in between this interfacing and this. That's where the zipper is going to stay. I've also seen bags that were made like this. Okay, so this is now going to be under this, and then you're going to have your lining like this. So what this does, the two effects, the effect of the two, I'm just going to tell you now. The effect of putting this in between this and the interfacing, that means your lining is underneath this part, is that it pushes this one lower. This pushes this lower. Excuse me. It pushes this part of the bag lower. But if you place it on this, it pulls this part of the bag, it pulls it upward. It pulls it upward such that, let's say what we had here, what we cut out here was 5.5 inches. Now the zipper has gone up. So this one also has to go up to meet with the zip. And so there will be like a shortage around here. There'll be a shortage around here. But if you place the zipper underneath, in between this interfacing and this part, right, this zipper is coming downwards, so it's going to push this one downwards a bit, so there will be like an excess. So if you have excess, it doesn't matter, because you are still going to place your base, the base of the bag, you're still going to place it on this, so it will cover up for it. But if you have a shortage like we will have here, because I'm going to use the one that we are going to place at the top. So if you're placing this, let me just explain how you will do the lining if you want to place this in between. So let's say that your zip, please just help me and correct it in your head when I mistake lining for zip. So if your zip is going underneath like this, if your zip is going underneath the leather like this, your, what is it called, you may not need this. In fact, your lining follows. How am I doing this thing? So your lining, the right side of your lining has to always face here. So that means you're placing this, the wrong side of the zip will face the right side of the lining. Wrong side of the zip faces the right side of the lining. And then you can sew it first. You can sew these two first. After sewing these two first, make them to become one, so that you now place it as if you're placing your lining underneath this. So what you would have is something very neat on the other end. Let me see if I have questions. I want to be sure I'm not confused. Okay, sorry, please. I'm trying to see if we have questions. The leg measurements will be 6.5 divided by 2, since the gusset base is 6.5. Yes, I said, you're taking me back. Oh. I said instead of 6.5, I explained here I said, where is it? Sorry, I can't find where I said. I said instead of, I don't want the depth, the height of the bag. The depth of the bag is different. Bama, she's please, see, you have to watch this video again. I can't go back, please. I already explained where we got the 5.5 from. I explained why we are using 5.5 instead of 6.5. I already explained all of this, so please, you have to go back and watch the video once. The leg measurements, okay, so someone should please help us. Rough explanation for those of us just coming online. You have to wait till the video is on. You said the gusset height is 10.5 and 6.5 width. What's the leg measurement? The leg measurement is determined by your is determined by the bag you are making. That's not the focus of this class, because all of these leg measurements, all of those things, they are things that I believe that if you are making structured bags, you already know by now. So what else? Okay, which thread is best to use to sew anything bag? Is it same thread Aboki used to sew shoes? Aboki used to sew shoes with twine threads, and there are different types of thread. There are wax threads, but okay, let me just pick a few threads to show you. This is digression. This is not something that I'm supposed to be treating in this class. So something like this. This is size 3. You can use size 6, depends on what you're sewing and the effect you want it to have. But this is size 3 thread. So that's the type of thread you use to sew anything back. You can use 6, you can use 3. But I use 3 mostly. Please contact. So okay, I think I want to be sure that I'm answering all the questions as I go, so that I don't miss anyone, because there may not be time for that. So what are we doing now is, let me gum this to this so that we get that done. Okay, I was going to explain that if we are placing this zip now, here, I said that there's going to be a shortage at the bottom. So that was why that now I'm laughing as I said. So that was why that when I was cutting this, right, I made sure that there was like an extra allowance of leather here so that it will meet for the shortage. But even the extra allowance of leather that I said I added, I'm just saying that it is not enough. But we'll rough it. If you know how I cut my bag, okay. Excuse me. If you know how I cut my bag, you know that at the bottom of my bag, especially if I'm going to be joining the base back to the body of the bag, I always leave like 0.5 inches at the bottom. So for my bag, for the exact bag that I need, this is the height. But this 0.5 inches, this one is where the base is going to lay, and this one is where the front contributes to the base of the bag. So on this note, I am still safe. But if you are somebody that it is just 0.25 where the base is going to lay on your bag, that you always cut, it is safe that when you're cutting the leather for this part of the bag, let there be allowance, so that as this one goes up, that's if you're using the method in which the lining is going to be on the bag, so this is going to go up more than it should, or more than it just staying here. So in that case, the leather is going to fill in for the shortage we have at this point. So let there be allowance on this bottom part. You're still going to place your base on it, so anything that you even have on this part is not going to matter in the end, but just be on the safer side when you're cutting your bag. So okay, let's finish the lining for this, then we'll now go to the lining for the main compartment. On that note, let us use glue. So what I'm going to do now is to glue this. I'm going to glue the zip to this first. So I'm taking half of this. This is the half line, half of this whole panel. This is the half of it. So I'm just going to glue it in place first. was doing it on the top, not the bottom. Sorry, pardon me. So I want to mark. I need an invisible. So this half point of the bag, I just want to mark it so that it reflects on this other end. Okay, so I'm gluing this here. So I showed you two ways to do your zippo. Don't ask me why are you putting it on top, why are you not putting it under. There's no one way that leads to the market. I'm gluing it before I'm sewing it so that everything is in place. It's not moving around. Or after sewing, I realized that, oh, it didn't sew very well, I have to loosen it. So after gluing it now, I know that it becomes very easy for me to stitch. If you are not sure, don't glue, because the glue will spoil the leather. So you have to be sure before you go ahead with your glue. This glue, it did not send anybody, it did not send you. And then at this corner, I'm stretching the zip. Okay, you may have folds there. It's fine to have folds since it's a corner, but just make sure that the zip is not loose. Okay, so we have the zip in place for this end. Then we'll go for this end as well. I'm just doing it small. I'm taking my time on it because I don't want stories that touch. I don't want ad break. Nobody is rushing me. Nobody is rushing you too. You're not rushing anybody. If your customer is by your side, it's waiting for you to be done with the bag. It's better for you to take your time on it than to deliver what the customer will come and return and be like, "It's rubbish you did for me now. This is rubbish. If you don't know work, tell us that you don't know work," things like that. So just take your time on it. So we have our zip for the main compartments gummed in place. Okay, then we can now go ahead and remove this. So I already marked the midpoints of the two sides. So I'll take this. For this one, the zip is not going to be on top. The zip is going to be in between. We are sandwiching the zip in between this and the interfacing that is going to cover it. So this is the midpoint for this. So it's safe to put the zip here. So the way to do the lining for this part is not only those gussets that you can use. It's not only those gussets that can be used to do the lining for this part. So you can also use any method that you know. There's no one way that leads to the market. do I feel like this is too, it's too close. Let me just give space on the other one so it's okay. I think this is better. Like I have enough gap in between the zip and this. So I may just go ahead to loosen this, to remove this and replace it. So I'm using glue first. It's not because that's how I'm finishing the bag. I'm using glue to be sure that everything I have is in place before I go ahead to stitch. So the glue is just to hold everything together first. Okay. So I said this was too tight.
No question. So let's look at the. Let's just look at this question.
Okay.
This is going back. This works.
Okay, let me just leave this at this first, and so let's try it on with a zip and see. Close this for me. So I have a zipper here. You can use two zipper if you want, and you can use one. All right. So I think this fits, and then you can do it. So we already have our lining in place, the one that will go around. So this lining is to go around this part. We've already put that check in place, so we can now sew it together now. I'm still going to detach this. So thank you. Okay, so this is the one that we are gumming the lining to. When you're doing your gum work, you can have something to lay on your table so that the gum does not, give the table this rough look. But for me, I have tiles. I have vinyl tiles on my table. Let me use that and do yanga. So if I'm tired of what it looks like, I can remove the vinyl tiles and replace it with something else. The fact that I'm using my table anyhow does not mean that that's the way for you to go as well. So the wrong side of the lining, just one end, the wrong side of the lining is where I'm applying the vinyl. Vinyl means like is it rubber or fake? No, not fake, it's rubber. Okay. All right, so the midpoint of this, I've already marked the midpoint. I'm just going to place okay. So just making it follow the shape on the stiffener. Okay. I'm not hearing the explanation, but I'm trying to get the. I'm not explaining anything, I'm just showing you. I've already passed the point of explanation. I've already explained the things I'm doing earlier. So I'm just doing it for you to see. All these things I've explained earlier. I explained before going in. So I'm just folding this around the stiffener for this. Okay. So this gives us the shape for this top part. So by the time you place this on this, nobody is going to see what is going on here, because there's also going to be another lining that is coming from the top that is going to cover all this rough part. So that's why the rough part of this is on this end, and then this one. I know you may be asking that why do I need to put this stiffener? Why don't I just go ahead with the lining and just stitch the lining to it? You can do that, but I feel that in my own case, this just makes it easier and defined for me. I don't have to stress. And also, if you don't want after placing this here like this, if you don't want this lining coming out this way, you can still fold this around like this, just around this little border that you created. So you can fold it around it this way, so that when you're stitching you're stitching this like this, so it's going to push this inwards. So you can either stitch this way, that means this is the border that you created, this is the interfacing, so you can still fold the lining underneath it this way, okay, and then stitch on it like that, or you can just stitch from this end. So whichever way, just depends on the results you want to get, so that everything is neat and perfect. So that creates the lunch compartment in the bag. I think we are safe to stitch all of this together now. Let me apply gum here. So the same way that we are doing this launch compartment, the same way we created the lining, is also how we are going to create the lining for the main compartment. So I think the technical part is now going to be how you are going to gum everything together, okay, especially at the top, so that you're able to stitch. Since you're even using, since it's a structured bag and you're using the handbag gussets, things like that, so we'll get to that. We'll still create the pattern for that, so we'll get to that. But let's just get done with this launch compartment one step at a time. If we're not able to do that today, we may have to come another live later, or I don't want to promise doing a tutorial or a video, because right now I can't promise a tutorial or a video. Let me just put it at that. I'm trying to manage the gum. I don't want to pour another gum, so let's wait for this to dry. While we do that, I think we should glue this. So let us glue this in place so that we are not okay. Sorry, this is going to be this way. So I'm gumming this like this. So the lining is in between the stiffener and the. So I'm going to glue this as well, just to be safe. I don't want to be struggling with anything on the sewing machine. That's why I'm gluing it. If you can use gum, if you have a gum that is strong, I mean very strong, you can use it too. But these gums I have here, they are not all that strong. Okay, so remember that this is the exact shape of this, so you're making it follow the exact shape as it is supposed to be. It's the exact shape, so just make it follow that shape. No long. Timothy, what are you doing here? How did you like? The water is not now. Okay, so you see what we have here like this. Then for this as well, we'll do this. So this border that I created just makes things very easy for me, just to do anything that will make life easy for you. It may look like it is time consuming at first, but in the end you just realize that oh good. Okay, so this is where you're going to put your launch. So you can stitch like this, just stitch on it like this, or you can push this inward this way and then stitch on it. Okay, so you can just push this inwards and then stitch on it. Then for this other end, it is this one like this. So this part like I said, the right side, hold on, the right side is going to face the right side when you stitch this together, and then they all meet at this point. So before we go ahead to do that, let's just stitch. So it's time to move to the sewing machine. Kí ló wá lọ sílẹ̀?
Yeah, some questions. Questions. Who's the other chair?
I see like, see all the lights are going off, eh?
Press.
Why did you not press? Why did you go there? Okay. So if you are stitching and you want to stitch this like this, that means this part is going to be pushed inwards. We're stitching it this way. You're going to have to struggle a little bit with that. But if you're stitching from this end, it's just going to be very, very seamless. So I choose the seamless way because there's no reward for sufferness. And for this, just coming this together. If you have gum stains on your bag, kerosene and then petrol, you can use it to remove it. So this is for the outer parts of it. But first, let us stitch this. So remember that I've glued the, what is it called, the zip in place. So whatever I'm stitching the zip as well. So but then I want to be seeing the zip, so I'm going to stitch this way. Can everybody see what I'm doing? I believe so. Let me see, do we have questions before I go ahead to stitch?
Yes.
Okay, as there are no questions for now, let's go ahead. So you can pull out your lining to be sure you're not stitching on things you're not supposed to stitch on.
You can still manage the one up.
But the both lights are off.
But one is on.
Just leave it, please. Okay, so you can see the stitch on this end as well. So one stitch helped us to put everything in place. So this is on the bag now, the lining as well, so you can put whatever you want to put inside this, you can put it here. So for this as well, just stitch this round. I'm just trying to make the lining to look better, and the zip is like it's pushing outward more than each other, so I'm just pushing the zip inwards so that it looks. So the thread just went off, and I have to go some steps back to start sewing again. All right, so for this I'm going to put the thread to the other end. So the part where my thread cut off, I don't want the roughness to be seen on the front side of the bag, so I'm pulling the thread backwards and tying it. Okay, so you wouldn't even know that there was any missed thread. That's what we're talking about. What else? So now for this, so you're stitching this like this, so you're placing this on the lining just like this, so that by the time you open this up, this is going to be what you see. It's going to be neat. So I've already marked the midpoints, and we shall do justice to that. Based on everything I've explained so far, please, we have questions. Based on everything I've explained so far, we have questions. Okay. So guys, our lunch compartment is ready. You close it, you open it, you close it, you open it. So
I don't understand how they did it.
it's not your, we understand another time.
I don't know why. No, why they are calling it lunch command.
Lunch commandment.
I not saying lunch commandment.
What did you say?
I said lunch command.
Let me see your teeth. Your teeth has grown back, Ali. Lunch commandment. Okay, so I first had to close it up, then reinsert the zip again. So here we have it. So any questions so far?
No questions. Is there questions? Yeah.
All right, I've not seen any questions so far. So we've done the launch compartment aspect. We have our parts of the bag that is protruding, where everything you want to put can be. So this is what the end looks like. This is what the front looks like. I'm not going to open it because I've seen it this way.
This is paper.
All right, so let's do the zip for the. There, I have 24%. So let's do the zip, main zip for this. Off my table, please.
This is my table.
If you have questions based on what we've done so far, please, now is the time to ask. Okay. So we'll work with this now. Down. Get down.
I get that.
All right. See, no questions. How did this one get? Please, please, oh, if you hear me, I'm not talking to myself. I have somebody here that is quarter to frustrating me. Now, I said this is the gusset, and this is the main pattern for the bag. So we want to do the lining for the main bag now. And like I said, please hold on. Let me get the back of the bag. Okay, so since we've already, I'm not using the front to illustrate again, since we've already attached the stuff to it. So this is the back of the bag, and this is the base, okay? And let me just finish what we started here. So this base of the bag, you're just going to place it on here. Once you place it on here, that seals the whole chapter for this. Okay, so that seals the whole chapter for this end of the bag. So that's it for the base and the launch, the front. But this is the back. What we do for the back is what we're doing for the front as well. But I'm not using the front to explain because of the things we've attached. I don't want it to be a distraction. So that's why I had to get the back panel to explain this part of what I want to explain. So when we first started, I said that in most of the structured bags that you may have seen the tutorial, most, not all, the lining is usually gummed to the body of the bag. But because of this launch compartment that we've put on the front now, it won't be okay to gum the lining to that, because if you gum the lining, to this, how is this going to protrude? It's going to be a problem. So you have to fix the lining just the way we fix the lining into the launch compartment. You also have to fix the lining for this, for the main compartment, into it as well. So you are not going to be gumming it to the main pattern. You're not gumming it. It's not the one that you just place the panel, the back panel or the whole bag on the lining, and then you cut, you trim, and then you stitch to your gusset. No, for this one now we have to calculate how we are going to go about it. So this is the pattern for both the front and the back, the mark for the front. That's why I didn't cut this out, because it's representing both the back and the front. So we are going to be working with this pattern. And like I said earlier, for my patterns, I used to have 0.5 inches at the bottom. Not all the time 0.5, but 0.25 is where the 0.25 is where the base is going to sit back to connect. So that's the allowance for the base to sit back on the main panels. Then the 0.25 is the part that I don't want my base to be seen outside, that oh, they joined the base of this bag. It's very obvious. No, I don't like my bag that way. I like it that, let me get a sample so that if you've not joined our handbag construction class before, or you've not joined the beginners handbag workshop, you have a clue about what I am talking about. So for this bag now, you can see that the base was joined. The base was joined back to the bag, but merely looking at it from this point of view, you will not be able to see that the base was joined. Why? Because the front part of the bag is contributing to part of the base of the bag. Also, the back of the bag is contributing a part to the base of the bag. Okay, so that's how I do my own bag. I don't like the base of the bag to be seen on this end of the bag, so I like it that it is just the base remains underneath the bag, so you can leave any measurement, any dimension for you to contribute. And when you are calculating, if you've joined any of our classes, both beginners handbag workshop and handbag construction class, all these things I'm explaining, I don't think I have to be explaining again. Okay, so for this bag now, we are going to fold this 0.5 inch away. This is just my own personal touch to the bag. It's not that if you are sewing this kind of bag, that's the standard, or that's how you have to go about it. No, that's not the standard. I'm just showing you that, but that's how I go about most of my bags, not all, because you must have seen tutorials where I didn't do that. So yes, this is the ideal height of the bag. This is the ideal height after we folded whatever allowance, we folded it away. This is the ideal height. And for the gusset as well, this is the height. Now the gusset of the bag, I said it is 10.5 inches. Meanwhile, the height of the bag is more than 10.5 inches. The height of the bag is the highest point of the bag. That's 11.5, and the gusset is 10.5, which means that the gusset is not getting to the top of the bag. So on this now, I'm going to measure where the gusset is going to get to. So basically, place the gusset, the bottom part of the gusset, place it here. And like I said, I intentionally didn't cut out the design. I said the gusset has a design. I didn't cut that out. So 10.5, I'm just marking 10.5 out on the so basically on the main panel, this is where the gusset gets to. Please, your gusset can get I'm saying this not because of there are people that are not in any of our classes that are in this class. That's why I have to be going over this. But if you're in the handbag construction class, I believe that this is not a problem. Your gusset can get to the top of your bag. It can get to, in fact, if you want it to start from here, your gusset can start from here. Your gusset can start from any point on the height of your bag. But for this bag that I am making, this is where the gusset is getting to, and I have marked it out on the main panel. Now for this is the interfacing for the, let's say the back and the front, they are the same shape. So let's say the back. So this is the interfacing for this, and then for the gusset, this is the interfacing for it. Now if I place this and this together, remember that I said I have a shape here, but I didn't cut it out, I just marked it out. So if I place this here and I place this, so the interfacing for this, right, it gets here. The interfacing for this as well, I have to trim it so that it starts from where the interfacing for this gets to. Okay, so the gusset is not getting to the top of the bag, basically. So that's why I have to place the gusset side by side to the main panel of the bag, so that I can measure where the interfacing would get to, and the lining. All these things that we are doing now is for the lining, and the lining is also not getting to the top because of the interfacing. So the lining will start from here and end here, or the lining will start from here. So that's why I have to measure it to align with the lining for the gusset. Okay, so this point, hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So there are two of this. You need to place them. So we're going to cut the pattern for the lining now. I'm cutting the lining for the front panel, the base and the back separate, and I'm cutting the lining for this separate. Then we join it together into a whole bag. So we can use, if you want to join, if you don't want to cut the lining separate for the gusset, you use the tote gusset construction method, just the same way we did for the lunch compartment, the lining for the lunch compartment. What you just have to do is that this is the gusset, divide it into two. That will give you, we said this is 6.5, so 6.5 divided by 2 will be 3.25. So you just basically cut your length, 3.25 on this end, 3.25 on this end, 3.25 on the bottom, which serves as the base of the bag, and you will have your lining, and you just place it, just add this, what is it called, the interfacing, add it to it at the top, and basically stitch it to your bag at the top. It's as basic as that. But because I want to do a laptop compartment for the bag, so I want the laptop compartment, I want it to enter. That's please let me quickly use something to illustrate. Now let us assume that this is the part that is going to hold the laptop, and let us assume that this is a punching board. Let's assume that this punching board is the laptop of the bag. This is the main body of the bag. This is the laptop compartment. So that means so the laptop compartment is going to be inside the bag on the lining. So this is our laptop. So the laptop is going to be tucked into this laptop compartment. Now if I am using tote gussets as the lining for the inner compartment, the main compartment of the bag, it means that this laptop compartment, the only place where it will get to enter into the lining is going to be at the midpoint of this place, at the midpoint of the gusset, which is not going to make sense. So it is just ideal that let me just cut the lining to be at this point, so that the laptop compartment can enter into the lining at this end, enter into the lining at this end. Then I can now place the lining for the gusset on it this way. Okay, so this one finishes itself here, this one finishes. So this is the laptop compartment. This is just like an illustration example for our laptop to stay in. So that is why I'm separating. I'm not using the tote gusset construction method. It would have been the best to use for this, but I'm not using the tote gusset construction because of the laptop compartment, and I don't want to have to fold the lining for the laptop compartment and be sewing it here. Then the lining will now go and end somewhere. I don't want to top stitch on it. So that is why I'm going to have to do this. Please, I believe you understand what I just explained. Let me hope that everyone does. So for the lining, we are going to cut this, and we're going to cut this in two places. We're going to cut the base of the bag. We're going to cut the gusset as well. So the gusset that we are now cutting now, that's good. Thank God I mentioned that. For the lining, no. So this is the interfacing for it. That means at this top now, the lining is not going to get to the top. The lining is just basically going to end here. So I'm going to use this to mark it. Because of the interfacing, the lining is not going to get to the top. So I have to mark that on the, where the lining will get to, I have to mark it on the pattern. So this part is covered by the interfacing. This part is where the lining will now cover. Now this is the pattern. When you want to cut your lining, you leave allowance to stitch this lining back to this. You will have to leave that allowance. Then allowance to sew this back to the lining of the main compartment. Let me be sure that you're still following me. We've spent more than 1 hour. Oh my, we've spent close to 2 hours on this call. Hey God, and it's not even a full bag. Mm, my question. Okay, sorry, I got a question here. There's a question on the gusset. My question is that we are going to put extra lining on the food compartment already. Can they collapse the lunch compartment area? Can we put ever foam here in that area too? So you are saying that in the lunch compartment that you want to put a foam to keep the food warm. I believe that that's the question. Sorry, I think these are three questions. Are we going to put extra lining on the food compartment already? I don't know what you mean by extra lining. That's the Alawiye Mojisola. I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by extra lining. Can they collapse the lunch compartment area? Yes. Sorry, I have to go back to this. So in case the person is not going to put anything on this, they can collapse it so that they have more space inside the bag. You can collapse this to have more space inside the bag. So the type of lining you are putting there allows that, oh, if there's something there, the lining for the main compartment, it will pack itself one side for this space to come out. But if there's nothing on this end, the lining will extend fully and then there will be more space inside the bag. I believe that that's your number 2 question. That's Alawiye Mojisola. Then can we put EVA foam there in that area too? If you want to put EVA foam, yes, you can put EVA foam just to keep the food warm because it's a lunch compartment and all like that. But really, uh I don't know if anybody is expecting that much level of. I think it's just a compartment so that things don't mix. And in fact, I would even recommend that instead of using velvet lining or cloth lining for this compartment, if it is food that the person is planning on putting there, like for me now, I don't have anywhere that I'm taking food to, but I do wear heels and I want to carry my slippers so I can tuck my slippers inside there. But if it is for food, basically that the person is carrying things like cold water, cold things can melt. The ice can melt, or the is it steam? No, it's not steam. Steam is for hot stuff, but you get what I'm saying, that the water coming from the body of the stuff can come into this, wet this, and also wet what is inside the main compartment of the bag, like if the person has files. So I would recommend that for this compartment you're using a waterproof lining. You're using a waterproof lining or rubber, or you're using a rubber lining, so that whatever is in here stays in here. If there's palm oil spill, water spill, any type of spill, it doesn't penetrate into the main compartment of the bag. Because if you have a cloth lining like this and the main compartment also has a cloth lining, both of them, they are going to get wet. Once this is wet, it will wet the other end. And in fact, the fact that this is even carryboard, it is paper board, the bag is reaching is the end of its shelf life small. So I would recommend that if it is for food purposes that the person is using it for, if the customer says, oh, this is what I want to put in it, use a waterproof lining so that whatever is in here stays in here, nothing spills out. I think, have I answered all the questions? You can put EVA foam, but just know that if you are putting EVA foam on this, it's going to stand, it's going to be structured, and it may not be easily collapsed. It's not that it won't collapse, but the collapsing will not be collapsing like as much, as it won't go as flat as this is going. So what is the name of the leather you are using? Does this leather have a name? It's a plain leather, and it's faux leather, synthetic. Okay, are they going to be seeing the back lining like that? No. This back lining, no. We are creating another lining for this. We are going to be, let's say that this is the lining that we are trying to, that's what I'm explaining right now. Like what I was explaining before I went into the question. This is going to be the lining. Let's say this is going to be the lining, because this is the pattern we are using to cut the lining. We are going to place the lining on it like this. So whatever is inside here is not being seen inside there. This is what the person is going to be seeing once they open the compartment of the main compartment of the bag. But it is now when something is inside there that if you push this lining to pack one side, okay, and other things can fit in, usually the lining would even sit. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. The lining would come like this so that you can place other things. Just like there's already load here, this is already protruding, so the lining will now come this way. If it is collapsed, it will look like this. But if it is not, if there are things here, the lining will look this way, and then you can put things on it. But they are not going to be, from the main compartment, they are not going to be seeing this. And that's what we're about to create. The lining that will cover everything, that will be for the main compartment. We are creating it separately. Let me see if there are other questions, because it will be very hard to come back to all of these questions once I'm done. So they are not going to be seeing the back lining. They are not going to be seeing that. So are we going to put extra lining on the food compartment already? I think I don't know when you joined, but most of these things I've already explained. Can the double-sided tape be used in place of the glue to hold this? Yes, you can use that if it is going to hold it for you to do what you want to do. Instead of the glue, you can use the double-sided tape. Hey, who is stealing from our class? Olanipe Koibukun. I've learned something new with the thread finished halfway. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so I think I'm caught up with all of that. So let us do this. Let's do this. So because of the launch, I said launch, sorry, we are off the launch compartment. Because of the laptop compartment that is going to be inside the bag, that is why I'm going to be splitting this at the bottom. If not, I could have just cut the front, the base, and the back. I'll cut it as a single lining and just use the lining of the gusset to bring shape into it. But because I want the lining for the laptop compartment, I don't want to top stitch on it. I want it to enter into the lining. Let it finish there. That's why I'm going to be joining the base, joining the lining for the base and the lining for the back or the front compartment. So before we go ahead to cut the lining for this as well, we have to determine where the lining is going to get to. Now this is the stiffener, and I said where the I said stiffener, the interfacing, and I said where the interfacing ends, that's where the lining starts from. So for that sake, we're going to mark where the interfacing, where it ends. Mark where the interfacing ends on the pattern. If I were doing this in a tutorial, right, that's why I said tutorial takes time, because I'm not even doing the whole bag. Imagine that I've already done some things even before we joined this call. I've already done the gumming, the folding, and everything before we joined this class, and we've spent more than 2 hours already. So as I said, if I'm going to be doing a tutorial on this bag, it's not going to be something that I'll do in a short time. It's going to take time, and that's why I said let us do a live class. And even on this live class, we are just treating the lining aspect alone, and we've spent this much time. So this is the part that the interfacing is covering. This is the part that is going to be for the lining. Okay, so when we are cutting our lining, this is what we are cutting out. For the gusset as well, this is the part the interfacing is going to be. I've folded it, and this is the part where we are cutting the lining for. Let's get to work. This lining does not look like it's going to be enough for what we have going on here, but let's see how it goes since it is in pieces. So I'm not showing the laptop, how I'm doing the laptop compartment, and I'm not showing that here, please. But if you've seen the tutorial on briefcase gusset 3, the bag with the double compartment bag, is that it? Yeah, so just how you do the middle compartment, that you put paper board. This one you just put your foam, so it can be your normal foam or your foreign foam, and then you sew it to the lining of the bag and put your velcro tape to hold. I don't want to go into that. Let's just do this main compartment lining and let's get done with that. So like I said, you have to leave allowance at the top, at the bottom, since you're going to be joining this part to the lining of the gusset. This same for this, you're joining this part to the lining of the gusset. This one at the top here, you're joining it to the interfacing, and this one at the bottom, you're joining it to the lining for the base of the bag. So you have to leave allowance. That's why we are leaving allowance on all of those areas. Good. Okay, so just leave just about enough allowance to help you sew what you need. Am I in frame? Yes, I am. So this is the lining for the front. The same thing that you have here is what you need for the back as well. So I'm just going to double this. Your front and your back, they are the same. So this is for the front and the back of the bag. Then we'll go ahead to cut the lining for the gusset. Basically, I'll just double this so that I cut the both at once. Before I do that, let me cut for the, so that I'm managing this lining. So I just cut for the base. Now for this, what I have here is 6 inches, and the base of my bag is meant to be 6.5. 6 inches, exactly. So this is 6 inches, and the base of my bag is going to be 6.5 inches. So the rest of the inches, the 0.5, is on the main compartment of the bag. If you understand, you already understand. So I just take 7, 0.5, 6.5. So the lining, I'm going to make sure that the lining is for 6.5 inches, not 6. This is 6, but the lining, I'm going to make sure that the lining is for 6.5, then add allowance to join back to the body of the bag. So 6.5, okay. Then for this end of the bag, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was no longer in frame. Sorry about that. So I said I'm measuring for 6.5 instead of 6. This is 6, but the remaining 0.5 is on the main panels of the bag. But when I'm cutting the lining, I'm cutting the lining for the 0.5 as part of this. Then I will have to have allowance on this end because I'm also going to join this to the gusset as well. So I've just not folded this, because we are joining your base back to the body of the bag. You need this. So I didn't cut a pattern for the, that's why I'm not using paper pattern to cut the lining for this, because I did not cut a pattern for it. It's just basic. The gusset is mostly basic, so I didn't need to cut a pattern for that. Please, oh, if you're not able to use eyes to take dimensions, you know that if you cut it, it's going to go south. Draw on your lining. Take your invisible pen and draw your patterns on your line, so that, or measure it. Okay, I'm cutting 7 inches by 5, and you cut it out like that. But for me now, I'm just using eyes to cut this. I know what I'm going to sew when I'm sewing. That's why if you cut back for me, we'll have different results. So I prefer to like cut it myself, because I'm using eyes to measure. Except you are using dimension and they tell me that, oh, okay, with the sewing allowance is 0.5, and I saw on that's 0.5 inch. But as I'm cutting it now, I know that, oh, my allowance is 0. So thing, and I should not sew beyond that. So please, if you're just starting, you cannot use your eyes to just look at it and know what you're doing. Please ensure you take your pen, mark your pattern out, mark your sewing allowance, so that you don't have a bag that is not looking balanced. So we've cut the lining for the base, the lining for the front and the back. I think by 1, what's time now? 12:11. By 1 we should be out of here. Now for the gussets. So these gussets now, you have to manage this. Unimaginable. So I have one lining. Okay, so So the gussets, the lining for the gussets. So we said we are going to be joining it at the top to the interfacing, at the side to the lining of both the front and the back. Sorry, let me make this straight first. It's looking like it is not balanced. See my network? Somebody's saying network. Where do they sell the double-sided tape? You can check Yemi DIY Craft on Instagram. I recently got one from her. You can check there. Yemi DIY Crafts on Instagram. Okay, so this one is to join this one to the interfacing at the top. The one for the interfacing at the top, I want it to be more. So we are not going to be gumming the lining to the body of the bag. That's the whole point of this tutorial, because if we're going to be doing the whole same way, there's no point for this session, because we're not burning it as a waste. We're burning it for good cause, our data and our time. Like this Saturday now, we know what we can do with our Saturdays. Okay, so this is the lining for the two gussets. Let's make this straight. Nice. So this is for the gusset. This is the interfacing. And we said we are joining the interfacing back to the gusset. So by the time we join everything, so I'm bringing this back. Let me use clip. So this is the pattern for the whole thing that we need. Clipping it down. Now, the time we join this is going to be, so I'll take my 0 points whatever for my sewing allowance. I'll fold it and clip it down to the bottom of the pattern. So this is the allowance to join it to the base of the bag. This is the base of the gusset. You join it to the base of the bag. The lining, the base lining. So this is this. Then for the top parts, we're also going to fold. I think what I folded at this bottom part is too much. So if you're using a flatbed sewing machine like myself, flatbed sewing machine like the one that I've been using since we started this tutorial, or you're using manual sewing machine, I mean, you don't have the industrial, sorry, not the industrial, you don't have the cylinder arm, you don't have the post bed or all of those other sophisticated sewing machine, this method that I'm doing is for you. So I didn't state that earlier. Now, why am I saying that? Is that ordinarily I'm supposed to join this, the interfacing, I'm supposed to join the edges just as much as I'm joining the linings. I'm also supposed to join the interfacings to each other. So the interfacing of the front to the gusset. Okay, so to form this and join this as well, like stitch it to join. But I'm not stitching. You can even see that I've already folded this. I've already finished the edge of this one. I'm not stitching because I'm just going to gum this top part of the bag. I'm going to gum the top part of the bag, but the lining aspect of it, I'm going to stitch the lining together. So because I'm using a flat bed, if you're using a flat bed, you cannot really sew anything that has taken shape, that is cylindrical. You cannot really sew it. It's going to give you problem, right? And like I said, there's no reward for suffering, so just look for ways to make your work easier. So that's why at the top, where it is going to give me problem to want to stitch round, if you're using a cylinder ham, very seamless. Cylindrical stuffs, very seamless. But if you're using a flat bed like myself, and like we're going to be using in this video, you have to find your way around things. So we are just going to gum the top part, but we stitch the bottom part of the lining. So in that case, I've already marked this and the remaining point of this. Okay. Now, what point? I'm going to take a point to which I want to gum till. So that means um, on my bag, this is the bag itself, right? You know, we are still going to top stitch this point. We are going to stitch this point and stitch our gusset to this point. Then the lining is going to be inside the bag. So this point, if you are using cylinder arm, what you just have to do is just, you know, round, and you are good. But for this one now, what I'll have to do is that I'll have to gum the top part to some extent, then allow the lining to start from the sewing of the lining to start from an extent. So the lining, part of the lining is going to be gummed, gum it halfway, then the remaining part of the lining, specifically before where my laptop compartment is going to be, that part is going to be sewn. So in that case, let's say that my laptop compartment is going to get to, I'm currently low on battery, so I think I may have to switch devices. So please, in case you are not able to meet me on this link again, you would have to go to the channel, WhatsApp channel, for the new link, in case I'm not able to join back with this link. So my device is currently low on battery, and there's little or no much I can do for now. I have to just change device. Right, so I was saying that we'll gum the lining to some extent and then continue stitching to some extent, and I was going to take the measurement of where my laptop compartment is going to start from. So my laptop, I'm sewing this bag for myself, so let's say my laptop is 10 inches high. 2 inches of the laptop can be exposed, or let's say 2.5. If 7 inches of the laptop is inside the bag, it is still secure. So 2 inches to 3 inches of the laptop can be secured. That means I need, sorry, from the bottom, I'm taking 7.5 inches from the bottom. So mark this. So this is just, what I'm saying is that the parts where the laptop compartment is going to cover, is just going to be 7.5 inches of my laptop. The remaining part of the top of the laptop is going to be exposed. That's the part that you use your velcro to hold. So from this point to the top of the bag, to the high rise point of the bag, that's 3.75. So from here, 3.75. So I've pinned this to the pattern. So I'm just taking 3.75 from the top, not from the bottom. 3.75 from the top. Sorry, for the gusset is not getting to the top, so I have to take 7.5. Let me be sure. 7.2, 7.75. So from this point, where's the, so if I go off, please, you may have to join again. I don't know when this is going to go off.
No.
So from this point, that I said the stitching of the lining is going to start from. So from this point to this point, we are going to gum it to the main panel of the bag. From this point to this point, we just stitch all the linings together. So now I'm going to have to reduce this from this point. So I'm just going to create a mark. Create a mark. And then make sure that this follows the pattern. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same width as the pattern. So this is what you're going to have on the main compartment as well. The main lining, the same thing. So this point is where you're going to join the linings together from. By the time you join the lining together, everything will be straight. I will do that when we join back. So here, remember your allowance at the bottom. So from here, supposed to create a straight line. This is just work of. If I create a straight line to join the points, I won't be too far from where I was. You see it? Not too far. So let's see, this is where my laptop compartment gets to. So from that point, or even to the top of itself, from the top of it. Right. Okay. The remaining part is going to be for the interfacing, so we are still on point. So when you're joining your lining together now, I've not shaped this. So when you're joining your lining together, this part that is protruding, you're joining into this part downwards. So you'll have this. So when you are stitching your gusset and your main panel together, it will not even look like there's any space here. It just look like a normal bag.